great pleasure to be here once again to do what we know to do best, which is bring you the very best of talk and everything that accompanies that. This is Panorama, reaching you live from the Integrity radio station. We're talking about Splash 106.7 FM, situated here in Abayomi, the capital of the Gateway State, also known as Ogun State. 3rd of August, 2022. Of course, you know this program has two segments. We have the issue of the day, as well as from the pages that will come much more later from 9 a.m. And of course, it's a wonderful and a robust conversation we'll have all together for the entirety of the program today. And it's great to be here once again. I am Benga Fayon. Welcome to the conversation.
Hello and welcome. My name is Lola Meduteni. It's good to have you here again, joining us today, Wednesday. And let's do this again, just like we did on Monday and Tuesday. I hope you tag along with us throughout the entirety of the program. Remember, of course, that you can be an active participant via our social media channels. Simply send a comment whenever you feel like it, whenever you have something to say. Just drop us a message on our WhatsApp number. Just take it down. It's 0817 555 1067. You can also comment on Facebook as well as watch and listen, because we have a live stream set up on Facebook. As soon as you find our Facebook page, it's Splash FM 106.7. You'll find the most current live stream. Join it so you can watch, listen, and comment. You can also tag along on Twitter. And by tag along, I mean use our hashtag Panorama on Splash to tweet your reaction to whatever is said during our issue of the day or during our paper review that we call from the pages. Don't forget, hashtag Panorama on Splash. Make sure to include it in your tweets. And our Twitter handle, of course, is at SplashFM 1067. Also, to notify you, if you're not aware, that we have a website, which means you can follow us and listen to us from any part of the country. And we sometimes have people telling us they're listening to us from Ekiti, from Akure, from different parts of Nigeria, really, or even outside the country. Well. Yes. So that's what our website is for. If you simply search www.splashfm1067.com, there's a feature there that allows you to listen live on the website. But for better convenience, you can as well download our app on your phone app stores. Search for Splash FM, choose Splash FM Abeokuta, and of course, listen and enjoy.
That's right. So that's what it is. We'll just get started with the issue of the day straight away. Lola's actually puts you through several platforms that you can use to follow us live anywhere in the world. And today's conversation, as part of the issue of the day, will border on the warnings and infiltration of the South by suspected terrorists. Of course, it's no longer news of what happened on Saturday as a Boko Haram or suspected Boko Haram commander was apprehended by operatives of the Department of State Services here in Abeokuta, Ogun State. And so it's going to be robust, to be interesting. Again, that live feed is up on Facebook already. I see a comment from Zechariah Lubayo Taningbola, who apparently has joined us already, and I see several others who have also been a part of it already. I'm talking about the live, the devices that have joined us live, but I've not said anything as it concerns the program. So let's get into it straight away. Panorama.
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 Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM. There are several rights that are to be enjoyed by the citizens of every nation of the world. Listen to a few. There is the right to life and property, the right to enjoy social services, the right to freely own property, the right to vote and be voted for, the right of citizens to work and earn salary or wages, and there is a big one, the right of a citizen to enjoy security and peace in the state. It should be said that there are several others as the constitution of whatever nation allows for, and as is universally postulated by the United Nations. And when it comes to the issue of security or insecurity, as the case might be, certain agencies of government are tasked with the responsibility primarily.
The issue of insurgency and terrorist attacks has festered in Nigeria for some time, well over a decade. Many see 2009 as the tipping point of several years of improper handling of signs that point to grave dangers for the future, as Boko Haram became really prominent that year. For what it's worth, the ideology of the group borders along the belief that Western education is forbidden, and subsequent years saw the emergence of other terrorist groups and organizations like bandits, cattle rustlers, as well as Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP. And perhaps it wasn't taken as seriously as it should have been because of the localization of attacks to a certain region of the country up north.
And that narrative seems to be changing as warnings have emerged of infiltration by these terrorist organizations away from the north, with some attacks that have now happened down south. The Owo Catholic Church attack that happened on the 5th of June 2022. And yes, another alarm went off on Saturday when the Boko Haram commander who was working as a security guard at a residential building in the Jai area of Abeokuta was arrested. This consequently triggered a flurry of emergency security meetings by law enforcement agencies in Lagos and Ogun State, as well as at the national level. Our issue of the day this morning is on warnings and infiltration of the South by suspected terrorists. We're supposed to have the first PRO join us, but for some reason we cannot reach him. I'm talking of CSP Muyiwa at Dejobi. If we're able to establish connection during the course of the conversation to hear him, but we'll have Abayomi Babalola who would also help us make a sense of this conversation altogether. Abayomi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Benga. Good morning, Lola. And good morning to our listeners out there.
Good morning, Abayomi.
All right. Well, I mean, it's no longer news of what happened on Saturday, apprehension of the Boko Haram commander or suspect. I mean, I need to use that because it's not exactly established just yet. So, and one of the things I've seen from the flurry of meetings that have happened since that time is how people should be wary of who they employ as security guards, as house helps, and it looks as though, menial jobs, if I can put it that way, where you wouldn't exactly suspect that anybody who would want to do a grave harm would want to engage in such a profession. I mean, are those only the areas or professions that such warnings should be heeded in terms of those that should be employed?
First, let me say the police have done a good job in detecting the suspects we are talking about, because when he was employed at that residential building, I do not think those who employed him did any background check on him. And for the DSS to now detect that somebody like that was in that vicinity, you give them kudos. At least they were able to gather intelligence and were able to apprehend the man. But you see, employing these menial jobbers without doing background check has been with us for a very long time.
That's right.
We call it menial jobs, and we want to pay stipends. If you want to pay stipends, it means that you are ready to forego some things that are important. Take, for instance, people who employ house helps. They will not go to the media or newspaper or either print or broadcast to say, please, I need a house help. They will look for people around, bring a boy or a girl of so age for me, and I'll pay. You know that if you were to employ somebody, that a proper background check must have been done, it means it will cost you more. The same thing applies to security personnel when you employ these people. I was going through a brochure of one of the security outfits, the approved ones, and the list of things that you are supposed to provide could mean that you pay more. And that is one of the reasons why people don't do all this background check, because they feel it will cost more doing that. Now, if you now feel that you must employ somebody, can you do the background check on your own? Who and who will you ask these questions? Of course, some of us will tell you that go and bring a guarantor.
Right.
Who is guaranteeing the guarantor? What do you know about the guarantor himself? If somebody wants to get a job and tells you that he has worked at CBN, he has worked at NNPC as security guard, and you feel that, oh, this man has enough experience, where do you confirm his previous employments? These are some of the things that we look away from. Though it is the economy, people want cheap labor.
Right.
But then, it means if you are trying to get cheap labor, you have to forfeit some things that are important. And that is what we are seeing now. We have forfeited a lot of things that we are supposed to get, that are supposed to be advantageous to us.
But is it even the economy? Because this has been with us, this culture of employing these menial jobbers without due diligence through hearsay. I know someone, referrals. It's been with us from as far back as my childhood, know a few
Beyond
people,
your
friends,
childhood,
family.
actually.
Even
I'm just
beyond,
talking
yeah.
about the one I'm cognizant of personally. So it's been a culture. So has it really been the economy? Is the economy the factor? Or it's more like it's a cultural thing we're used to. It's a norm.
Lola, look at these big politicians that go around with policemen, mobile policemen. So you even see some people and you feel that, is this not an army officer? Then some of them in the last 5-10 years now, you see bouncers, huge looking guys.
Right.
Do you know how much it costs to employ these ones? Do you know how much they pay the Nigerian police to get the police personnel to be in their security team? Now, if you feel that you cannot get that much to employ security personnel, you go for the alternative. And the alternative could be cheaper, though more dangerous, but cheaper. So we can still say it is the economy. But in few cases, you see, I'm sorry to say this, some people have things to hide. And they wouldn't want the Nigerian police to get close to them. That is why they will go and hire people outside the structured security personnel. Because if, for instance, somebody is a kidnapper who earns a lot of money, he or she will not want a Nigerian police officer to be his security aide for obvious reasons. So they will go for the unorthodox security personnel, which might not necessarily be as a result of not having enough to pay them, but for some other reasons. But generally, I think it is because of the economy. People want this cheap labor, and they feel that we can get this from these people. No need to do much background check. Just bring somebody that lives in our vicinity that can guarantee you.
Right.
Then you get the job.
Okay, now, as far as we know, I mean, what I meant to say is, how do we keep this from degenerating into a wave of mass tribal hatred? As far as we know, these Boko Haram and ISWAP agents are predominantly from the Fulani Hausa extraction. And just as you said, owing to a culture that we have of employing them as security guards, as domestic staff, even when we don't employ them personally, we have them, as motorcycle riders. You see them selling pepper. So, there's a lot of them in the Southwest, and there's been a mix all this while. You see them on the streets, you do business with them, invite them into your homes to work for you. So there's really no getting out of it. But with this fear now, how do we manage this so that ethnic tensions do not flare and you do not see people maybe turning out people that they've peacefully coexisted with for a long time? How do you see us managing that?
It's going to be a very tough task to manage that, because in this country, it's like we have a particular tribe that we assume that they do this security work. There is another tribe in this country that we assume that it is the domestic staff the house help you get from that ethnic group.
Right.
Unfortunately, in this part of the country, Southwest to be precise now, we don't have the flair for being security personnel. Our people don't do it. Our people don't get involved in being your domestic staff. Except
Some do.
for
It's not
majority.
common.
It's not common. It's not common. So we still have to make do with the people that are coming from other ethnic groups that are doing this. It's very unfortunate that we have ethnicized everything now. And it's not a bad thing though. But with the security threat coming with it, that is my fear. It means that if you must employ somebody from that ethnic group, you have to do extra job. I listened to the commandant of NSCDC some weeks ago, and he was saying that I think NSCDC is in charge of the private security
Right, they
arenas. And he was saying that if you must employ a security personnel, at least go through the
NSCDC,
accredited
right.
ones. If you can't come to the NSCDC, go to the accredited security agencies. Go to these private security agencies. These people from this particular ethnic group that we are talking about, they don't apply to the private security agencies. They feel that referrals from the street. There was a time I went to a particular estate in Ibadan, and like 80% of the security personnel they make use of that, or they make use in that estate, are from this particular ethnic group. And a friend of mine was telling me that. I asked him because I was curious. How do you get these people? He said from referrals. That there are some of them that have been with them in that estate for over 10 years. So if somebody like that brings a sibling, a brother, that, oh, sir, this man, I can guarantee him. You
That's
get the
enough.
job. That's enough for them.
Is there no danger in that longevity that exists? I mean, you mentioned the person who has been existing in that estate for about 10 years, and the notion or the insinuation is that, I mean, think like you've seen in some scenarios now where the person has been planted for 10 years, goes in and comes out, knows the entire terrain, and then they can easily strike. Is there no danger in that in itself?
There is danger in it. You see, even if you employ somebody today and you feel you are cautious enough, there will be this time that you let down your guard. Maybe after 2 years, after 3 years, you feel that this person has been with me for for some years. We've interacted together. In fact, he has raised a family here, and you feel relaxed. But then we have seen that this terrorist fight goes beyond blood. It goes beyond somebody being my sibling. When these people are bent on doing something, they don't mind taking years to plan. And that makes it very, very dangerous for us. You see, the only way out, I mean, two things I think can be done is for the government to up the ante. Up the ante in areas of intelligence gathering. You cannot stop people from employing this particular set of people as security guards. We can't. But it is left for that. That was why I started by saying thank you to the security, the DSS, for being able to detect this man before any harm was done. If they can do that, it's good for us. Then the other aspect of it is, you see, if you must employ these people, apart from the general checks that you have done, take your time to interview these people, or you get somebody to interview this individual for you. You see, in crime, somebody told me that in crime, there is no way a criminal will be so perfect that if you see an investigator that sits with a criminal for 1 hour discussing, that criminal at a point in time will sleep. So it now takes us to have that somebody that has that investigative potentials to interview these our potential employees and be able to extract some facts. You get some facts that you will not be able to shout. You just ease out the man easily and let him go. And you get some facts that it will call for you to alert security personnel. But the way we used to employ anybody, things has to change.
Let's look at that. Having to employ these security guards. I mean, security is a big issue for anybody, for any individual, for any household, and all of that. The NSCDC, according to their spokesperson, Shola Odumosu, who did say that Nigerians should be careful about engaging unknown or strange individuals as security guards, also seem to insinuate, I mean, like you also said, that their agency is tasked with having to regulate that particular process of these are the accredited security agencies you should approach and all of that. But the question is, how much of this information is in the public domain for people to know that if you want to employ a security guard, you should do background checks, approach the NSCDC for the list of accredited security agencies that you can employ from?
Well, if you care to know, you'll get the information. If you care to know. Take, for instance, many CDAs and CDCs, they employ security personnel.
Right.
But what they do now is to approach the state's security outfits, the Amotekons and
Safe Corps. Right.
That is what they do. It is the level of information they have. So if you are interested, take, for instance, I want to enroll my child in a particular school. It behoves on me to do some findings about the school. Now, not just one school. Maybe I'll take sample of like 5 or 7 schools in that vicinity and get information about them. It means that if you must employ a security personnel, get involved in knowing information about security personnel. If you care to know about it, you get the information. Of course, so many people don't know that the NSCDC regulates this private security outfits.
Right.
In fact, myself, I used to believe that somebody can just wake up one day and set up an outfit and call it a security outfit.
Any regulation
without any regulation. But then, some years back, I got to know that it is part of the responsibilities of NSCDC to do that. So if you care to know, you will know. But so many of us, we just feel that, oh, I've just moved into a particular house and the property is worth billions of naira. I can't just sit all alone. Let me just employ a security personnel. If you show that lackadaisical attitude, there's this tendency that you employ somebody and you won't employ the right person. Like somebody rightly put it, it's like putting a snake in your house and you feel that you are safe.
Right.
One day, someday, the snake will strike.
Right. Should we be concerned about the synergy of these separate security agencies? Because it's happened several times in the past. And as a matter of fact, the police say that they are yet to be properly briefed on the incident. That's the Jai incident with the Boko Haram commander. So can we trust in the synergy of our separate security agencies to work together cohesively to prevent this? Because it seems like it's only when they work together that, there can be success achieved in this exercise.
Let me take you up from that last part of the statement you made, that it's as if when they work together, that is when they achieve. To an average Nigerian, it's as if when they work individually, that is when they achieve. Look at what the DSS did. Ordinarily, for me, I might be wrong. Ordinarily, I do not expect this news to come to the public the way it came. If you have been able to apprehend a suspect, you ought to have finished your investigation before you alert the public the way the news came up. In fact, the news came up as if it's somebody sniffed the news out.
Right.
It did not come up as an information, as an official information from the authority.
Same with the NSCDC memo. It was leaked.
It was leaked. So for me, when you have vital information like that, liaise with sister organizations and finish your investigation. Of course, they can alert us. The PPRO can come on air and say, oh, we want to tell Nigerians to be more careful the way they employ security personnel because there are some information going on. And you stop at that. But now that you have told us that you have been able to apprehend one of their leaders somewhere, it means that the other cell members of that particular group, because that man, you can't beat your chest that he's the only one in town. Mm-hmm. It means that the other cell members who probably are around will get that alert and they will be more careful. That does not stop them from continuing with their plans. It means you have given them a hint to re-strategize. I'm sorry to say, at times I do think that these criminals, they make use of more intelligence than our security personnel because you won't hear them before they strike. But our security personnel will announce well ahead that we are going to Ijaye to go and raid. We want to go to Ijaye tomorrow to go and raid criminals, and you expect the criminals to wait there. The criminals will not tell the residents, even in some cases where they write residents ahead that we are coming to strike. The particular day they will give the notice, they won't come. Maybe in another 2 weeks or 3 weeks' time, when you have let down your guard, that is when they will strike. But our security personnel don't do that. You see, I expect this synergy to be at a top notch. But what do we see today? In fact, when I read the news that the Nigerian police were saying that they have not been briefed, it shouldn't be. These are information that shouldn't get to the public. It makes us to not to have confidence in our security personnel. And like some people will say, God for every one of us, but every man for himself. If our security personnel cannot guarantee our safety by telling us that they do not have information that the common man on the street has, it means that the confidence level is going to be lowered. Not yet low. It could be at a stage that people are doubting. But when you hear security personnel telling you that they do not have information, it's diminished the level of confidence we'll have in them.
Okay, well, some people feel that we might not have seen the last of this, about the fact that the man in question was apprehended, talked about how he took up the security job while gathering intelligence for an attack. In fact, security sources said that he moved to Abeokuta to set up a cell for kidnapping and terror attacks. I mean, apparently, people need to be on their guard for the future in this regard.
Especially areas where we call new settlements, where, I mean, there are border towns,
border areas,
and areas where you still have a large expanse of farmland, which these criminals can hide and then come out to the open, carry out their attacks, and go back into the bush. So everybody should be on red alert now. And I think for many CDAs and CDCs, this is the time for them to approach the state security outfits and get their personnel to come to their aid. It costs money, but when these people strike, nobody takes cognizance of how much you lose in terms of money. We want our lives to be secured first before talking about our property.
Right.
With this information that is flying around, it gives signals to everybody that you have to be more careful. these days. The people you employ, the way you move around, in fact, what goes on in your vicinity, what goes on in your areas. I wouldn't know why these people wants to come to the Southwest to come and attack.
How about the perspective that the fact that Ogun State is the gateway state, so it might be pretty central to, being able to infiltrate Lagos and
Lagos
even
was one of the
adjoining
states in that included in that NSCDC memo.
No, it means that there is an interest in Lagos from these people. If they are considering Ogun as the gateway state to Lagos, that means their primary interest is in Lagos. So what informs that interest that they have in Lagos? Oyo State, they get to Oyo State before they get to Ogun State.
That's right.
Depending on the routes they come through, they get to Osun State before getting to Ogun State. They will get to states like Ekiti, Ondo before getting to Ogun State. So if they are saying that the gateway state to Lagos is what they want to concentrate on, it means that there is a special interest in Lagos. And apart from the little crimes you hear about Lagos, Lagos is about the safest state in the Southwest. I don't want to say the whole of the South, but it means that state is doing something right, which these criminals are bent on punching. But then they have noticed that there is no way they will get to Lagos without touching down in Ogun State. It is now left for the Ogun State government and residents of the state to make sure that there is no place for these people to settle in Ogun State. We don't want them around. Some years back, when we used to hear about attacks in the north east, we were thinking, oh, it's their problem.
That's right.
Later, it's extended to North Central and now Northwest. Some of us still feel that it is their problem. Now, Kwara State is shouting. Niger State, Kogi State,
right,
they are shouting. Nasarawa, it means that it's coming down south. It is now something that every one of us will have to take cognizance of. It is now something that every one of us will have to be on our guard. And being on our guard includes giving out information, being very, very vigilant and giving out information to security personnel. I wouldn't know if this fear still exists, that you give information to security personnel and they'll still come back and tell you that, the criminals will come back and say that you have given out information to security personnel. How did they get to know that you are the person that gave out that information? I don't know if we still nurse that fear. But at this stage we are now, I think the security personnel too, they know that they are part of the primary target. It means that every information we give them is beneficial to the residents and equally beneficial to these security personnel themselves. So if you operate freely with residents, they will be willing to give you information that is beneficial to you as well. I once had a discussion with a senior police officer, and he was saying that what they want is peace. As policemen too, they don't want crimes around them. Because if there are crimes, if there are situations that they will have to attend to, it means that they are putting their own lives too at risk. So what they want themselves is to, in quotes, get free money. A society where there will be no crime and security personnel will just get paid for doing nothing. It is possible. But then, at this point we are now, crime is the in thing. And it is the business of everybody.
Well, you can never really eliminate crime, but you can reduce it to a very minimal level.
You can reduce it. There are states in this country that you hardly hear of terror attacks. You hardly hear of unknown gunmen attacked them. There are states in this country that, like Lagos State, like the example I cited earlier, apart from the little crimes of boggling, house boggling.
But there was the 1 million boys.
That is another aspect on its own.
A localized
One. But then, the issue of banditry started like a child's play. There was a time we were saying the Northeast was battling with Boko Haram. Northwest was battling with bandits. Not this proclaimed, not this pronounced, but they were battling with bandits.
Right.
And in the Southwest, we were battling with cultism.
That's right.
But today now, everybody is facing banditry and terrorism. Everybody. And like I said, it's the business for everybody now.
All right. Let's open phone lines,
All right.
as well as read your comments on social media. If you want to send one to our Facebook, WhatsApp, or Twitter pages, Twitter handle is at Splash FM 1067. Use the hashtag Panorama on Splash in your tweets. Facebook is Splash FM 106.7. We're live streaming there. So in the live stream, there's an option to comment. You can just drop your comment there. And the WhatsApp number, of course, is 081-7555-1067. You can also call that number, as well as call 0704-400-1067, 0817-444-1067, and finally 0705-050-1067.
Let me mention that we're hoping to have the Force Public Relations Officer join us for a few minutes, but for some reason we cannot reach him. And so then we have Abayomi, who's done justice to the topic of the conversation. Please keep your thoughts as brief as possible. Please turn off your radio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Babari, thanks for calling us. Go on, please.
And I'm calling from Obanchuku.
All right, go on, sir.
We've been discussing about this security issue.
Right.
About the...
Babari, there's a radio that is on around you. Please turn it off. All right, we lost you altogether. Please call again if you can, and you're able to make your way back. Hi, good morning. Hello?
Good
You're
morning.
live. Good morning.
All right, try again when you have your affairs sorted out. 0705 050 1067, 0704 400 1067.
Good morning. Thanks for calling us.
Hello, good morning, Nicholas.
Nicholas, go on.
Yeah, provincialism always had its challenges. As a matter of fact, when Churchill was telling Roosevelt that Hitler was having great ambitions, Roosevelt reactivated the policy of isolation, and the world can burn insofar as America is safe. Then Hitler attacked Pearl Harbor in America on a Sunday morning. Then that was when America started going up and down. All of us, some Nigerians knew that a problem in the north was a problem in the south. But when you have, when societies decay, they just don't decay. When you have university owners who have hotels where Timothy Adokeke is slaughtered, when drugs and arms come into the country because our immigration and custom officers are not motivated, when the Northern Allies hand over, make sure their daughters go to Harvard, and they come back and hand them over as wives to governors, and you forget Abu Musa and Tuji Aliero, what do you expect? These things just don't happen. Now they have come down south, and we are now shocked. Abayomi, news we get out there, no matter, it's like hiding the sun. But how has the government tried to engage the down and the lower class? Once they are not engaged, they will engage themselves. And not everybody will be a Toby Amuson. Some will be a Tuji Bello, who is also a young boy. That boy is worth $500,000. How many lifetimes would we live to get that cash? Until you make sure that the middle class act as a safety valve for the upper and lower class, then you can handle these issues. Even issues with serious economic plans, these issues are always there. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for talking to us. We can take more calls in this regard, okay? 0704 400 1067. We'll have another caller now. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Mr. Loladi.
Mr. Loladi, thanks for calling us. Go on, please.
Yeah, I have two different views to this aspect. like the next talked about the synergy between the security officers and for them not to have the right information at the appropriate time. You see, there has always been this interagency rivalry, and we cannot use that to affect the life of over 200 million Nigerians. So we should put that aside and do the needful to synergize and put this country on the right track. That's number one. The number two, the issue of this Boko Haram banditry using Southwest coming to Ogun State. The fact is that we ourselves in the state, we need to do, the government needs to stand up and make sure he has a very reasonable meeting with the security personnel so that they can start profiling, go to almost every area. The new site, let security personnel takes over those areas and start profiling those areas. Sincerely, I learned they dropped a letter in a town close to Oba. This Alagada that banditry or the Boko Haram are coming to attack them. And I'm very sure this has not gone to the news. And this has to be attended to as early as possible. This is one of the reasonable information that they should look around to get and put this country on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you,
very much.
Mr. Ololade, for your contribution.
Good morning. Thanks for calling us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Afolabi,
Yes, Abalabi is my name. I'm calling from Abayomi.
go on, please.
Yes, Mr. Abayomi, good morning. Thank
morning,
you
sir.
for your explanation. I want to bring this into it. Yes, it is true that criminality will always surface. And it is the duty of the society and the security agencies to take care of the situation. Now, let's look at what we are facing in Nigeria, especially in terms of banditry and then terrorism. I can't be ashamed to say that these security challenges point to one direction and one ethnic group. We have to see it. And we must tackle this thing drastically. In order to tackle it, there must be something called community policing, by which we have to take up that duty. Now, in the process of trying to take care of this situation, there might be an issue of ethnic profiling, and which might, at the end of the day, become a constitutional issue, because there should be the constitution ensures free movement of individuals to any part of the country. So if we have to tackle this problem drastically, there might be an issue of ethnic profiling. What do you see to that? Can it work? And then what about the importance of a state police?
Thank you, Afolabi, for your contribution. Abayomi will answer that, but let's take this call. Just, Abayomi, please hold your response.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for calling us. What's your name?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Big Daddy from Abiola Way.
Thanks for calling. Go on.
It's a very nice topic. The topic is kind of, we are trying to take the leads, the men suffering ourselves in part of security. Security will start in front of your office there. Point to those taxi drivers that blocks main road that carry 2 or 3. Let them sit in action. That is the road they use pass and carry these bandits. You are looking inside the road. Come to a bank, the security is not doing anything at all. They're trying to score money. Nothing goes well in Nigeria any longer. Let those people in town sit in action. We're still going to see those people that is passing by with that arm and ammunition. If you believe that you can start it, we can stop it when they strike. My dear brother, you are missing it. Obantoko will just be there. People passing, nobody cares. It's only some of all these, I could have said those security officers, they are trying to escort money and let them go, even if they are carrying out ammunition. I'm telling you, I could have said so, but I will not say so. You know what I mean. So let them start from there. Nigeria is not what it seems to be any longer. You will see an Mikra carrying on top, a trail on top of his head, the policeman will say pass. Is it not the same General Muhammad Buhari that came in 1993 when we used to see war against indiscipline. That anything that goes wrong, then bring him to book. And this time around, I don't know what is happening. Maybe we have to look into what is happening today compared to the person that we are talking to.
Thank you,
May God
Big
bless.
Daddy.
Have a nice day.
All
Have
right.
a nice day yourself.
Thank you. Let's
All
see
right,
if we can
Abayomi.
squeeze in just one more call and then allow Abayomi to respond to the ones we have so far. I think Babaya was trying to call. Abayomi, maybe just go on with the... I know the conversation around state policing will definitely come up, but let's take this call and then you respond to that. Hi, good morning, sir.
Yes, thank you, Splash.
Babari,
calling back. Thank
Yes.
you. And you see, I don't know, there's an issue I want to raise because we, in the advent of this terrorists or whatever trying to infiltrate, they've already come into the southwest. But there is one danger because if you look at some of the neighborhoods around Abeokuta, you see the concentration of some of these Okada riders. Some landlords give them blanket, lease that particular compound to them alone. About 30 or 20 will be staying in that compound. Is it not dangerous? Because now that type of situation, their kingsmen can infiltrate and mix up with them and do this real damage to the neighborhood or in the state. So how can the government or the security agencies really go into this? Because in my area, there is one. Because if I wanted to, raise up an alarm, the people will think as maybe I'm anti the other side of these people. So how do the security agencies really tackle this? Because it is dangerous.
Right.
That is my observation.
Thank you, Babari, for your observation. All right, Abayomi, if you can quickly
Yes.
answer Babari's question as well as
Abayomi. Yeah.
Afolabi.
Pardon me, yes.
For Babarere's fear that landlords give their property to people from a particular ethnic group. You see,
He also mentioned the issue of bike riders.
yes, bike
the
riders
flurry that we have.
You see, one thing I want us to note is this: we are still in Nigeria. We are still a country that has Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas, Fulanis, and the likes. So these people, they have the fundamental right to move from any part of the country to wherever they want to. When they get to new settlements and they want to occupy your own property, the onus is on you to say, yes, I want to give you my property, or I am not giving you my property.
But can you refuse them on the grounds that there's too many of them who want to live in one compound? If, as you say, this is one Nigeria, and
Of course,
anyone has the right to...
you can.
Isn't that discrimination
That's
based
not
on ethnic group
no,
or
that's
ethnic
not
grounds?
that's not discrimination. When I was young in Lagos, I noticed that a particular ethnic group will come. They will rent a shop from you to sell some things. If, as a landlord, you visit that shop by 11 p.m., you see the number of people that will go into that shop and sleep in that shop. By 5 a.m., 5:30, you see them trooping out from inside one shop. But in the daytime, you will feel that you have given your shop to just one person. You can say that based on the facility I have in my property. I've seen houses, I've seen landlords that will tell you that they don't want more than 4 in a particular property. It is possible. So they still have the freedom of moving around. They can travel from the north down south. But then, if security personnel are doing their job, if as a migrant, you do not have any weapon on you, you are free to move around. But once somebody has been apprehended with weapons, please, the needful has to be done on that person. And another thing is that these menial jobs we are talking about, people don't... I hardly see a Yoruba guy that will carry box and be going around that I want to mend your shoes.
That's right.
You hardly see a Yoruba guy that will go around and will be pushing wheelbarrows that he wants to carry your refuse. We need these people. We need
Or
this.
selling suya.
Or selling suya. We need them. But then, the majority part of the responsibility is on the security personnel. Once in a while, you can bust on these people and do some search. If you see anybody that is having anything that he or she is not supposed to hold on to, please apprehend them. But like I said earlier, we are still in Nigeria. These people are Nigerians, and we have to treat them as Nigerians. We have to accommodate them as Nigerians. But if my brother from the same town is having a weapon that he is not supposed to hold, let the security personnel.
Do you recall Afolabi's question?
We're going to come to that. The issue on state policing that Afolabi also referenced.
The issue of state police, you see, I don't want to delve into that, because for me, the way we operate our governance in this country, I still don't have confidence in having state police because of the attitude of many of our governors. Look at the way some of them make use of Amotekun. Look at the way some of them, a particular governor was not in his state, he traveled and attempted and buy patrol vans for I went to one of our security outfits here. I don't want to mention the place. On a spot where I was standing, I counted 10 vehicles, 10 patrol vehicles that have gone bad. Why do we have to wait till that happens? Each station can have one patrol van. It is possible. There's this money. There is money in this country, for goodness sake. But then, some people just sit on it and they don't feel like letting citizens have what they are supposed to have.
Okay. Maybe one more call will do. We'll still get to, social media comments. We'll have to proceed on the break very shortly. Well, I think we just proceeded on that break straight away, so we apologize. We cannot take any calls, at least in the interim.
But if you still have something to say, drop it on our social media pages. We'll be reading all the comments, so as many comments as we can get to on WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter when we come back from this break.
All right, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Don't dare touch that dial. It's Splash, your integrity station.
ABR ọ̀rẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àbísúyọ lóko bọ̀pá dé. Wọ́n ní ẹ ò gbọ́dọ̀ kárí ẹ̀ lórí ìgbà ọ̀tun. Pàápàá àǹfààní tó gbọ́mọpọ̀ dáadáa. Ilẹ̀ oko mo lọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ orílẹ̀ ìlúgùn Ọlọ́run dá 25,000 ní plọ̀tì báyìí. Ẹ ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta kẹ́ ẹ gba ìdajì sí i. Bó sì jẹ́ éèkà lẹ́ra ẹ gba plọ̀tì kan sí i. Ilẹ̀ àgbẹ̀ Kọ́bápá Alábàtà Ọ̀pẹ́jì 30,000 per plot. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta ìdajì lẹ́gbà sí i. Bó sì jẹ́ éèkà lẹ́ra ẹ ó gbòdìdì kan sí i. Àwọn onírà ti wà ńlẹ̀ láti ra èrè oko yín. 39 NTA Road Ọ̀gbẹ̀ Abẹ́òkúta 08033706236 08033706236. ABR ọ̀rẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àbísúyọ lóko bọ̀kọ̀ ìgbọ̀tún fáwọn àgbẹ̀.
Ọjọ́ kẹẹ̀ẹ́dógún oṣù kẹjọ làǹfààní yóò pín.
Honey, must you go?
Babe, you know I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
Hey, what if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Hey, and when your power bank runs out?
Babe, I've got my laptop.
Okay, wait. What if your data runs out?
Babe, you know we never run out of data.
Never run out of data with Airtel Home Broadband Unlimited Ultra plans. Enjoy unlimited data with no speed cap plus extra data daily, so you never have to worry about running out. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
Babe, but I just left the house.
Yes, honey. It's video calling all the way.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Ìgbádùn tí yá iléeṣẹ́ Educas Travels ló kó wa lọ sí ìlú ọba. Ó yá o. vacation là ń lọ lọ́wọ́ tá a wà yìí o. holiday ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ ni ó yẹ wá bá wa lọ.
London Bliss ní tọ̀tẹ̀ yìí o. Iléeṣẹ́ Elucas Travels kó wa lọ báyìí. Pẹ̀lú àwọn ìgbádùn lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan. Iléeṣẹ́ Elucas Travels and Tour. Ẹkú tìmọ̀tìwà bẹ́ẹ̀. Wípé ìgbádùn tiyín ló jẹ wá lógún. Ìlú London là ń lọ báyìí. London Bliss. Ká lọ jẹ ìgbádùn. Àdéhùn àti àsọyédè máa wà. Hotel accommodation, visa, city tour, flight ticket, airport transfer. Gbogbo ẹ̀ ní Elucas Travels and Tour. O lè lọ pẹ̀lú ẹbí rẹ. Bó ṣe wọ nìkan náà ló fẹ́ dá lọ. Wákàjọ rìnrìn àjò yìí tó máa lóyin ládùn láti Saturday 22nd sí Saturday 29 oṣù October ọdún 2022 yìí la fi máa rìnrìn àjò yìí. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ lè kàn sí ọ́fíìsì wa tó wà ní kìlómítà 1 Abetu Junction Abiola Way Abẹ́òkúta nípínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Telephone 09099977001 àti 07039301361. Ìgbádùn aláìlópin ní tọ̀tẹ̀ yìí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ rìnrìn àjò.
ṣe ti gbọ́ wá fowó ra lẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wá ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ sọ́gbọ́n. First January o. First January bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bẹ́ẹ̀ o.
Ṣé oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ ni ọ́, oníṣòwò àbí òṣìṣẹ́ ìjọba? Ìwọ náà ò ṣe darapọ̀ láti fi òní múra sílẹ̀ di ọjọ́ ọ̀la rẹ nítorí iléeṣẹ́ First January Agro Investment Limited wọ́n ti ṣetán láti bá ìwọ náà múra ọjọ́ ọ̀la rẹ sílẹ̀. Ìwọ ṣáà ti rí i dájú pé ó pẹ̀lú ọ̀kan nínú àwọn àgbẹ̀ tí wọ́n fẹ́ gbin igi ọ̀pẹ fún lóṣù September ọdún yìí. Éèkà kan ilẹ̀ 850,000 naira ni. Yàtọ̀ sí pé ìwọ ló ní éèkà kan yẹn. Igi ọ̀pẹ 100 ló máa wà lórí ẹ̀. Fún odindi ọdún 5 gbáko ni wàá fi máa gba ìdá 5 iye owó tí o fi gbin igi ọ̀pẹ ọ̀hún tó bá ti wá di ọdún kẹfà. Wọ́n fa oko ọ̀pẹ éèkà kan rẹ lé ọ lọ́wọ́ lọ́dọọdún. Epo ìsebẹ̀ tí ọ̀pẹ yìí máa fún ẹ á tó 750 litres. Ó kéré tán wàá máa rí 450,000 naira lórí epo nìkan lọ́dọọdún. Pé 08165646535.
Panorama.
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 Panorama. Panorama.
Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM. Suffice to say that we appreciate you for staying with us on Panorama. This is the Integrity Radio dial, Splash 106.7 FM, situated here in Abayomi, the capital of Ogun State, the gateway state that is. And we're not exactly done yet with the issue of the day because we still have to read the comments you've sent to us via WhatsApp, Twitter, as well as Facebook. Where do we start with?
Let's start with Facebook.
Okay, so I'll have to skip the one on Facebook. Ifeanyi Iwuchukwu sent one.
You can read it.
All right, so Ifeanyi Iwuchukwu says, were we not all alive last year in Ogun State when Ogun indigents were seeking refuge in Benin Republic? Who did we think they were? Now, when they enter Abeokuta Central, the thing become news. We did really try, walai. That's how he puts it. Thank you very much. All the others on Facebook were really much, were more of greetings. And Ovuna Dickland, who is watching us from Ebonyi State, we also greet you as well.
Twitter.
Okay, so let's head straight to Twitter now. We have quite a lot already. Okay, so Ustaz Lawal Jubril says, the guest is doing a good job. Way forward, let the local government become functional. Then the necessary office and personnel will be established to oversee these identified gaps and our so-called ungoverned spaces. And then it goes on to say...
The same comment.
Right. Okay. So I'll just move on. Critical Scorpio, I'm going to skip your comments because that's Nicholas again. Ajalayemi says, it's always ironic that Southern Nigerians who mock Europeans and Americans that don't want migrants use the same arguments when they are talking about Northerners.
That's an excellent point, actually.
All right.
The ironic thing is that in the United States of America, too, their anti-immigrant stance to Mexicans. And the funny thing is that Mexicans are profiled for also doing menial jobs. You know, they're the ones being the house help, the domestic staff. Right. And then they say, they're coming here, they're taking all our jobs. We don't want them, they're causing violence.
Okay, Macaroni Camille says, while we're putting security agents on their toes, I also urge everyone or anyone with useful security implication information to report to leaders in their respective localities or traditional rulers for quick intervention. Those are the comments we have on Twitter.
All right, then on WhatsApp, let me go through the comments that we have. So this one here says, apologies, just trying to find the first one. Okay, so this is from Dr. Okowoye Shegun Solu. from his solo community, and he says security is everybody's business, with 7,222 killed, 3,823 kidnapped, and 81 soldiers and 65 police officers paid the supreme price in the last 7 months. We should be proactive and not reactive. A Nigerian robotic engineer, Dr. Olushola Ayola, has developed carbon emission tracker (CET) drone for aerial surveillance in detecting hideouts of criminals within caves and forest areas. What is next with this discovery? The modern way out is technology. Thank you very much for your well wishes. Next up is Atonda from Ishabo, who says Nigerian security problems will keep deteriorating as long as there's no state of emergency on this issue. I think it is high time each state assembly pass a bill concerning this issue on how to tackle this within their domain. This next comment is from Ola from Obantoko. Always remember to please include your name in your messages on WhatsApp. Ola says we should look at it from the angle, we should look at it from the angle of considering employment to citizens. 90% of supermarkets these days do not go through proper way of employing security at their work. Security job is a risky job, and I think those companies are trying to give it to those who can risk their lives. All right. This next one is from Reverend Zachariah Olubayo Taningbola from Wasimi, who says, I am urging some security personnel that are suffering from mouth diarrhea. This cannot help both security agencies and the citizens. Please keep secret, and you will see people helping you. All right, thank you. Ilias from Abeokuta says the issue of security in Nigeria has gone beyond what we see. The truth is individuals should be security conscious and know the kind of security personnel they will disclose and information to, so that they will not later become victims of that suspect. While the guest said that the information is not supposed to be out yet, he's very right. There's no assurance that he's the only one in the States. Ends with his trademark, Oloma Jekashiluya. All right, next up, we have this one from Prince Iyanu Fajanyo Atobatele from Ashero, who says, so many things are wrong in this country. Our security agencies did not have that great synergy in tackling insecurity. That is really affecting the security network of our country and as regards bandits coming to the south, our government and security agencies need to be proactive and be at alert. As the guest has rightly said, we need to be more careful now. We have so many Hausas and Fulanis in Abeokuta. It is high time the government works hard. Let me stop here. For now, so this next one says, all right, a new one just came in. Okay, Surakat Abdulhamid Abiodun says, how many people have the phone number of the Nigerian police force within their locality? In America, we have heard about 911 from time immemorial, and I don't think that has changed, so we should be responsive and do the needful. I knew all along that this terrorist activities was spread away from the northeast since there was no proper measures to nip it in the bud, and we are now paying for the laxity of government. Like someone had opined that once a security breach lingers more than 48 hours, government has a hand in it, so Nigeria should rise to the occasion and ask questions regarding this menace. All right, Afolabi is here again with another comment, which leads me to Nicholas's comments. I was saving it for last because I want to address it, but Nicholas says, this one was to Abayomi, who has now left. He says, Abayomi, did you see a Fulani man or woman eager to eat suya? You don't need a weapon to be deadly, my brother. Bamishe was murdered in a government bus by a driver that had a guarantor. When we catch the rats in the kitchen, we need to smoke the rats in the bush. And he says, for those who use all platforms, it is not a good feeling when their points are skipped, especially when they are making an entirely separate point. And if you have to skip it, you may avoid mentioning names. I may be wrong, though. Now, Nicholas, it is a rare day on Panorama that we have all the time in the world to entertain all comments on all social media platforms as well as calls. Severally, you've heard us say that we have to put a stop to the calls due to time. Even right now, you can see that we are overreaching into from the page's time. So this is even an overreach. From the pages should be from 9 to 10, but that's usually because of the flurry of comments that we have to take on social media. So it'll be unfair, and it would not be in the spirit of equity for us to take multiple messages or comments from one individual. There are even sometimes that someone sends a message on WhatsApp or Twitter that's too long that we have to cut off because we don't have all the time in the world, you know? And oftentimes we don't read some people's comments because there simply is no time. So we cannot then give all the time we have to one person and keep reading the same comment or different comment from the same individual on all the platforms. The reason we have multiple platforms is so that you can choose the one that is best for you. It's not so that you can drop a message on Facebook, drop another on Twitter. Just choose one platform and drop your messages there. If you have all the time in the world, we'll read all your message on that one platform. If not, we may sometimes choose to read excerpts from it.
So, I mean, that's that final point is very key. So, I mean, you cannot blame us if we just have to pick one of the ones you've sent because, I mean, like Lola rightly mentioned,
there's another commenter who does that, and
possible,
he's
so.
never complained. Sanitary Akiola Luwaratimi. I think he does it so that I can guarantee that we'll definitely read one message
From anyone
so it's not an attack. It's not a personal thing against you. But as we said, we're trying to consider all the people. We're trying to be equitable, we're trying to be fair, and we're trying to manage time. So, Nicholas, sorry if you have been affronted by that. There's a message here from Afolabi, but Afolabi also called, if you recall. So, but he may have a different point here, but, we're all out of time. So, thank you, Afolabi, for your contribution. Let us now get on with paper review.
Well, there's some sort of hilarious comment. You should check that out yourself on Facebook. So, it's from Olani Bamdelia Fees.
What the... This is sexist. I'm nobody's studio wife.
All right, let's
All right, I have
this
my
now.
paper here with me. It's Nigerian Tribune.
And I have Vanguard Support. Let's also welcome Olani Mashan.
Nice to be in the studio with you.
Good to have you here. It's been a while.
Lola, yes.
Right.
Trust you're in good spirits.
Very much in the spirit.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
a very highly tight schedule there and
Okay.
there. Yeah.
All right, let's get on with it then. From Nigerian Tribune, the lead story here says, "End this madness. Buhari orders security forces. Resign if security challenges are overwhelming, CSOs tell Buhari." Falana says governors are Nigeria's problems. Gunmen invade Imo community, kill 7 security guards. Obasanjo says high cost of diesel is affecting my business. Wow, that's unusual coming from a former president of the country. So it looks like it's pinching everyone now. 16 die in Ekpe Ajah Road in accident. ASU president says no lecturer has been paid since February. Khan should stop acting like appendage of PDP, ex-APC national vice chairman says. That's convenient for the APC, given that, they know this is a Muslim thing. So, anyway, NDLEA busts Umpuru Miri Labs in Lagos, Anambra, arrests 2 barons. Have recovered 258.74 kg of meth, precursor chemicals in VGC raid. Train attack, gunmen release 5 additional hostages. 15 Enugu abducted farmers released after 2 million naira ransom paid. Amoteco intercepts 140 travelers in Ibadan, escorts them to Ogun border. That story is also in the Vanguard's front page. And interestingly, it's also one of the things raised from our issue of the day, but we'll get to it later maybe. NEMA says 233 local government areas and 32 states are prone to flooding. And finally, the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, shuts brothels and bans the wearing of face masks in Kogi. Well, that's it from the front page of Nigerian Tribune.
All right, taking you through the Vanguard now and the stories that we have on the front page of the paper. 2023, Lalong Oshiomhole lead APC's campaign team. Multiple riders accompany the story. The first one says, as crisis keeps PDP in limbo. Second rider, Keyamo Alake Ononuga head media team. The third rider, crisis stalls PDP's council. Fourth rider, reconciliation campaign council top agenda as PDP Board of Trustees others meets today. And final rider says Kachiku names Kunu campaign spokesman. We also have this that story, by the way, for all of that you'll find on the page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. Insecurity beyond what one nation can fight. And that's according to Buhari. You find that on page 7. 10 escape as Oyo Amoteco intercept over 150 migrants from Zamfara in Ibadan. You find that on page 6. CVR extension. INEC turns down 70 civil society organizations' request. The writer says we can no longer extend voters' registration. You find that on page 8. 22 die in Lagos Cross River auto crashes. You find that on page 6. Kidnappers of Nollywood actors reject 1 million naira ransom offer. You'll find that on page 40. Train attack, terrorists release 5 more kidnapped victims. And you find that one on page 6. 2023, Tinubu's government will be equitable, inclusive. That's according to the running mate of Tinubu himself, Shatima. Why we are yet to restore services in Abuja Kaduna rail corridor. You find that's according to a minister. I want to believe the Minister of Transportation. You find that on page 8. Natural gas energy transition fuel for Nigeria. That's according to the federal government. You find that on page 7. Power generation drops again to 3,675 megawatts. You find that on page 19. The picture on the front page of Vanguard is that of the wife of Ogun State Governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, the governor of the state, Dr. Abiodun himself, his mother, Mrs. Victoria Abiodun, former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, All Progressives Congress vice presidential candidate, Senator Kashim Shettima, and former governor of Ogun State, Aremo Olusegun Oshoba, at the one-year memorial service for late Governor Abiodun's father, Dr. Emmanuel Adesoye Abiodun, at the St. James Anglican Church, Ikperu Remo, in Ikene local government area of the state, and that happened yesterday. Those are the stories on the front page of Vanguard newspaper.
And I missed this picture on the Tribune of aggrieved members of the All Progressives Congress in Osun, of both Governor Oyetola's Ilerioluwa and Aregbesol's top factions staging a protest calling for restructuring and removal of the party chairman, Prince Gboyega Famodun, in Osogbo on Tuesday. Contained is also the Speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly, Timothy Oweye, addressing some of the protesters at the premises of the House.
Okay, so let's delve into some of these stories now. Let's look at the one that borders on power. Power generation drops to 3,675 megawatts. That's according to the agency in charge of that. Many have talked about how Nigeria should be generating way more than this. And the government also did come with a promise of improving several things, amongst which is supposed to be power generation to ease business doing, basically, for Nigerians and all of that. And we've witnessed collapse of the grid multiple times this year, maybe about 7, 8, 9, if I'm not mistaken now. And while I'm not saying that is wrong or that is not correct, but I mean, Nigerians now seem to be taking it with a pinch of salt in terms of, grid collapses, power generation has fallen to a certain amount of megawatts, and they're seeing as though it's just a convenient way to explain the failure in that sector. Does that feel that way to you, that maybe Nigerians should not exactly take it seriously?
No, not too far from it. Because when the establishment wants to push out a kind of excuse or explanation, they have a way of going about it to make you think, they are doing something, it's just that they are incapacitated or something of sort is happening or that. But those are just unnecessary excuses. That's why it appears as if Nigerians are taking it with a pinch of salt. So what Nigerians are doing now is to kind of look for alternative at exorbitant prices, at a very frustrating level, to making sure that they are not just left in the limbo unnecessarily. You said because it's convenient to make it convenient for business. No, to make life convenient. Because there is a lot of things that surrounds usage of power. Not just only businesses, but life itself. It's almost dependent on it, if you look at it relatively. Even agriculture is dependent on it, not to talk of any other, sectors. Right. So, in essence, it's expected, it's incumbent on the government. They will surely give excuses. But if you promised during your campaign, before you come in, and you said you're going to improve on it, you see, there's a difference between power generation. You say it has generated to 3,000 megawatts.
Right.
There's a difference between generation and this distribution, or to the point that it gets to your household. You see, Nigerians are not bothered about how you generate, how you transmit, how you distribute. What people want is the end result, the end product. What am I able to utilize in my life, in my home, in my businesses, on the road? That's what Nigerians are thinking of. They want you to give them what you have promised them, not what you are trying to do, not the excuses you are bringing about every now and then. How long the power grid collapses is not a concern of Nigeria. That is why you are there as a government. We can do it on our own. You have come forward to promise us. There are countries all around the world that are generating, transmitting, distributing, and doing all these things, and people are not even thinking. They don't even bother. They are not thinking of anything extraneous about power supply. All they are thinking of is how do I pay for the power I am consuming.
Right.
They are thinking of, okay, this thing is going to be, removed from source in some country, that my meter will read this and they will take it from source. And that is what Nigeria should be thinking of. That how do I pay for what I've consumed? It's not about how do I get meter, what do you call it, prepaid meter. How will I not be shortchanged by using the old meter? What's going to happen to my, what do you call it, the transformer? Should not be the business of Nigerians. All we want is be supplied. How you go about it as a government, it's your headache. Whether you do private-public partnership, whether you do it wholesomely by the government, whether you negotiate with international organizations, Siemens, and all the rest, irrespective of the scandals that we have seen over the years, just give us these things. And it shouldn't be at cutthroat prices. That is what we are saying. It should be commensurate. So, I don't know what I can say. Let it collapse how it's going to collapse, but just give me power supply. If it is 10,000 megawatts you are generating, do it and give me what I want. If it is 6,000, do it. But if it's getting to 3,000, that is your headache. How I wish everybody is metered, prepaid meters.
Okay.
How I wish it's like that. How I wish there is enough forex to guarantee that things can be imported without getting to the last level user at a very high price, that we can consume fuel at easy rate, that we can use generators at easy rate, that we have prepaid meters at easy rate, that it is what you supply us that will pay for. Let's see how they will survive. Let's see how they will survive. The so-called IBDC and all the rest, Genco, Disco, everything, Discotech. Let's see how they are going to survive. We will go through our own pains, but the government should do the needful. Give us succor, give us soft landing, deliver on promises, and make life bearable for Nigerians.
All right. Speaking of soccer, let's look to this story where former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has expressed worries over high cost of diesel, saying the development has adverse effect on his fish business. He said this during a congress of the Southwest Fish Farmers Price Sustainability Group, noting that fish farmers in the country might run out of business due to daily increase in prices of fish feeds and cost of diesel. He said the price of diesel has gone high because the management of this country is not what it should be. What will happen is that, particularly those of us who have to use a bit of diesel in producing fish, we will completely go bankrupt. And when that happens, Nigerians will still have to eat fish. Fish production will be out of reach, and then people will be producing fish outside Nigeria and dump it here. And you will go jobless, poor, and indigent. What we have to do then is to sustain fish production and take care of those who are going to eat and those who are producing. He said he's sweating because of the high cost of diesel. Now, some people might be unsympathetic because he's rich, Although they say the rich also cry, but some people will be like, okay, we who are, the masses, we are suffering way more. At least he has some kind of buffer. But the interesting thing about him making this statement is that, first of all, it becomes news when Obasanjo says it.
Definitely.
An ordinary person says it, it's like, hey, we're complaining, but, he's saying it, so it's making front page. But aside from this, we've seen the cost of production for several key items that Nigerians consume. We've seen it go up. We've seen associations go on strike. We've seen, price skyrocketing. We've seen that even some of what was previously considered cheaper alternatives, the money from fuel subsidy into subsidy in these, key goods and raw materials.
Thank you very much, Lola, for your narratives. You see, when I heard ex-President Obasanjo lamented in the news, I just smiled it off. Not because I want to be mischievous, because this is not the first time we have been saying it. Yes, like you said, when people like that speaks, it attracts, it's like a magnet attracting all stuffs around it, On personal experience, I've used diesel for not less than 15 years now. And I know the progression, how it's been going.
We run on diesel too.
Exactly. And I can tell you, if you watch what has been going on in the last 2-3 years here in terms of diesel cost, I think your management will be able to say better on that. The current rate of diesel is 800. Petrol, averagely 180, 200, depending on where. Diesel as well. Baba Obasanjo talked about fish production, preservation, yes, food security, so to say. But other peoples are also dependent on diesel. And the multiplier effect on the economy, when it is exorbitant, is almost zero for the government or for everybody. To do a particular business, it has to use 10 liters, for instance. It goes for about 180, 200. Another person does the same production for 10 liters on diesel. He has to incur a cost of 8,000 for 10 liters. How do you think he's going to balance up? He has to pay taxes, all his overhead costs, and all the rest. Definitely, we will all cry out. Those are the people we know, like Baba Obasanjo, that is crying out. Those are people that are not known. Somebody like me, and others lesser or higher than us. That is the stuff we have been campaigning on, talking about every now and then. That life is becoming, if it is not generally unbearable for Nigeria because of the cost of living, which is a kind of ripple effect on the cost of production. How do you expect an average Nigeria to survive or the government to make gains in that instance? That is the problem. There is no electricity supply for those who are engaged in serious production like Baba Obasanjo was referring to, the issue of fish production, fish preservation. And they've got to use diesel to power their engines. And at the end of the day, the cost is growing higher. And the minimum wage is 30,000. where it is paid fully. And what goes into that 30,000 is beyond just ordinary production cost. The cost of movement, the cost of rentage, the cost of feeding, everything is skyrocketing. So it's quite unbearable for an average Nigerian. And I don't know how we're going to get out of this quagmire, because it's not just something like you throw a stone and it gets there.
Right.
It's got to have been pre-prepared, pre-planned, pre-arranged
What about
over
the
the
suggestion
years.
that
Now, looking at the issue, of the subsidy and all the rest, I just looked at it. Look at what has happened with NNPC. It's a tactical way of saying no more subsidy if there were subsidy in place, or if they were unable, as they have been saying, to contend with the corruption regime in that subsidy. That only a handful of people, some rich people that have been benefiting from the subsidy regime. The argument which I refuse to bow to anyway, because how it affects the ordinary people is more than the argument the establishment is pushing forward. If you remove subsidy now, tactically as you have done with NNPC, NNPC will now come up with just any price. They will tell you the international indices definitely are determining the price. You have paid way for people like Dangote, with all apologies, I have to mention his name and his production capacity, the target he's having, to just put the price the way he wants. If he says today, after completion of his refineries, that I'm going to sell for 1,000 per liter petrol, or my diesel is going to be 2,000 per liter, who are we? Because government have tactically withdrawn, and there is no more subsidy regime in place. Sooner or later, petrol will get to 500 if it's not more. Diesel will go beyond 1,000. I am not a prophecy of doom. We've seen the trajectory.
Right.
We've seen the movement. And I hope government will come back and do the needful. We cannot be producing and be suffering. We cannot have the resources not producing. We cannot have the resource of oil and be suffering, as it were.
Okay, well, there's two things. One, in spite of the subsidy being paid, we've seen the price of petrol still go up. And that's despite the government saying we have not removed fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
The government's owned filling stations, the NNPC, they're also selling at a more expensive price. They're not selling at the government-regulated price of 165 naira.
I hope I remember to say something when you land it.
So things don't add up in that area. That's one. Then another is that for many, a lot of focus is on fuel and fuel subsidy, and that's understandable because, people use fuel to run their cars, their generators. You can't get away from it with the electricity sector the way it is. But wouldn't it have more of a real-time effect if that, as I said, that money is taken away from, and also because there's a lot of opacity in that fuel subsidy, like there's no transparency in how much is going in, whether it's being spent on what it is. The actual masses the fuel subsidy is supposed to be for the masses. Wouldn't it have more of an effect on the actual masses if the money for fuel subsidy is then used to subsidize the cost of producing some of these core materials like bread, like staple foods, that people rely on? Bread used to be considered the food of a poor man before, but now it's no longer that way. So wouldn't it have more of an effect if you give this money to manufacturers or producers in some sectors and say, okay, we'll subsidize the cost of importing some of these materials, or maybe we'll waive some of the tax fees that you pay for these? So just
Sir Orlando Marshall, before you respond, we're due for a commercial break.
Okay.
We need to proceed on that break now. So when we come back, you just answer all of the
no
questions
problem,
posed to you by Lola. So stay here, we'll be right back.
Honey, must you go?
Babe, you know I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
What if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Hey, and when your power bank runs out?
Babe, I've got my laptop.
Okay, wait. What if your data runs out?
Babe, you know we never run out of data.
Never run out of data with Airtel Home Broadband Unlimited Ultra plans. Enjoy unlimited data with no speed cap plus extra data daily, so you never have to worry about running out. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
Babe, but I just left the house.
Yes, honey. It's video calling all the way.
Airtel, the smartphone network. àṣeyọrí gan làgbà iṣẹ́ gbogbo aláṣeyọrí ayọ̀ aláṣeyọrí classium and property limited lónìí ọ̀pọ̀ ilẹ̀ wọn ti di wámútìrẹ́ báyìí lórí owó tí kò ga ju ara lọ randa extension hilltop máwùkọ́ àti kọ̀bàpẹ́ 100,000 ní plọ̀tì yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni lóko wọn ti di ọ̀pọ̀ yùkẹ́ mo lọ́kẹ̀dẹ̀ 25,000 ní plọ̀tì kan bẹ̀ kọ̀bàpẹ́ alábàtà òṣìṣẹ́lẹ̀ 30,000 ní plọ̀tì ẹ̀ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta kẹ́ẹ̀gbá ìdajì sí bó sì jẹ́ ékalẹ̀ra òdìdí lẹ́gbàsí pẹ̀lú ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àǹfààní tẹ́ẹ̀jẹ̀ lórí ilé oko wọn torí pé àwọn onírà àti onímọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ti wà níkàlẹ̀ láti là ń lọ́yẹ̀ lórí kan tẹ́gbìn sí ilé oko tẹ́ ẹ bára 4 mọ̀túndì abíọ́láwé ilégoro daily express furniture ni wọ́n wà ọlọ́ṣogbo abẹ́òkúta Ògùn state 08033086557 08033086557 lóòótọ́ àṣeyọrí gan làgbà iṣẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ń bá ń bá wa ná dandan ní kẹ́ ẹ láṣeyọrí ayọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ tiwa.
ọjọ́ 15 oṣù kẹjọ làǹfààní yóò pín.
ọjọ́ ti pẹ́ tá a ti ní ìrírí iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná tí kìí ṣe déédé owó tá a fi ń ra epo sí jẹnẹrétọ̀ wa ń fi ojoojúmọ́ gòkè sí àfi bí ajá tó ń sáré tó wó ń jóná kò sówó a tún fi owó ọ̀hún rajà tó wọ́n ẹni tó fẹ́ wo tẹlifíṣàn tan fan gbórin aládìídùn lálẹ́ tó wá tún ẹ̀rọ amúnáwá jẹnẹrétọ̀ fún wákàtí mẹ́jọ lójúmọ́ á ná 1,800 naira fowó epo a ò fura ní o 12,600 ló máa jẹ́ lọ́sẹ̀ 54,000 naira tán ni lóṣù kan eléyìí ò wá pọ̀ jù ṣebí mo bá fi ọ̀nà kan hàn yín tí àwọn tí wọ́n já sí ń tọ̀ tí wọ́n fi ń gbádùn iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná tí kìí ṣẹ́jú ṣẹ́yìn náà máa tọ̀ ọ́ June 6 Energies Nigeria Limited ní ilé iṣẹ́ tí ó ti múra tán láti ṣe àtìlẹ́yìn fún gbogbo ẹni tó fẹ́ gbádùn iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná tí kìí ṣẹ́jú kíkì nípasẹ̀ agbára oòrùn àṣeyọrí gbogbo ìgbà ló jẹ́ kí June 6 Energies máa tẹ̀síwájú níbi ká bá ní ṣe solar inverter fún ilé iṣẹ́ ńláńlá àti kéréje solar TV solar freezer solar street light àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ Ansarudin House Quarry Road Pepsi Abẹ́òkúta 081-2926-7722.
Panorama.
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 Panorama. Panorama.
Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Welcome back. It's 9:30 on the Integrity Station. This is Panorama. It's the second half of the show. This is From the Pages. We're reviewing paper headlines, and we're on the matter of cost of production, given former President Olusegun Obasanjo expressing his worry on the high cost of diesel affecting fish business. I'd posed several questions to Olanimasho on that regard.
You see, there's something I will pick out from your narrative, your questions. Something in particular. You use the word opaque in the subsidy regime. That opaqueness, what if that subsidy were to be or has to be removed and be placed on some other stuffs, particularly the subsidizing bread,
staple foods,
other staple foods, and all the rest. The key thing I will still refer to is that opaqueness. There is always opaqueness in government interactions with us. How clear is it to the government themselves? You see, government have been saying there is corruption embedded. Perhaps we should use opaqueness embedded in the subsidy regime. How sure are we that when they bring that money out again onto bread and others, there won't be opaqueness.
It could be because the NNPC is, like because crude oil is like a money maker.
Lola, money traders or trader money and all the rest. How many people do you know
Fair point.
that have accessed it outside the political circuit? That is the problem we have. We don't even have a system to identify who is due for what or who has collected what.
Right.
How transparent are we in our transactions, be it government or individuals? That is our headache now. Because if something is supposed to be generally okay for us as subsidy to cover everybody in terms of consumption of fuel, be it diesel or petrol or whatever, in any case, look at diesel that has been regulated. There is no subsidy on diesel.
Mm-hmm.
It has never come down. I've told you I've used it for not less than 15 years now. It is just going up and up and up, and it has been deregulated. The same way petrol will it will commune in due course because it's tactically being deregulated with the strategy being adopted by bringing is it deregulating NNPC or whatever you call it? Commercializing it.
Right.
The price will start skyrocketing in due course because government, that's what I said, I hope I will remember. The government have come out to tell us that they are not part of the increment that we have just seen, that they don't know how it came about. If government can come out to tell you that, you should know that you are on your own as it were today. That is the marketers and not the rest that have been determining the prices. Just as it is with the diesel, because it's what they buy that they will sell. They are telling you, we are no longer involved. We have left everything. You are on your own as citizens. Whatever they ask you to pay is what you will pay. We don't care again about you. Even though we have a social contract to be there to protect your interest. But as it were, that's about the best way we know how to protect your interest. So whatever price the marketers bring on board, you should go with it. If tomorrow they tell us it's 250 per liter, we have to go. The government will still tell you, we don't know how it came about. And that's a government in place. Quite unfortunate. But as far as I am concerned, it is the job of such a government that promises economic relief, fighting corruption, and security of life and property to come up with an idea of tackling the corruption embedded or the opaqueness embedded in that subsidy regime to protect us, to make us feel safe, to make us feel economically viable, to make us produce with ease, to make life bearable for every Nigerian. Anything short of that, quite unfortunate. As it is, you are on your own, we are on our own in Nigeria.
All right, let's move on to this story. It's about the Independent National Electoral Commission and how they turned down 70 CSO's request to extend voters' registration. They do say that they can no longer do that. Of course, you do know that the registration exercise was eventually, a stop was put to it on Sunday, the 31st of July, 2022. And so, apparently, some feel that INEC are within their right to say this. According to INEC, they want to mop up the registration process up onto the issuance of PVCs to those who have registered, those who want to transfer their cards from one location to another, those who have registered newly. I mean, what do you make of all of that? INEC are within their right to say this, right?
It's neither here nor there. It's a two-way thing. INEC cannot just leave everything open ad infinitum. I operate from the civil society as well.
Right.
Yes, we can look at it and say, this thing, because some people have not responded, you have to leave it open, you have to do this, you have to make sure it's an inclusive agenda and all the rest. But how long will it be? If you ask Nigerians, you leave it open. You ask Nigerians to do it at will, the way they want it and when they want it. Some people will not register until a day to election. That has always been a factor in Nigeria's situation. Now, INEC, they have a timetable. This same thing happened during the primaries of the political parties.
That's right.
The parties were asking for extension. Then I thought of it. I said, is INEC independent? Do they have the right to set agenda? Can they do things the way that it will make it easier to go about the electioneering according to regulated, transformation? So in essence, although one way or the other, tactically, INEC shifted a bit for those that that are yet to conduct their primaries or they have problem with their primaries. It's not a matter of saying INEC could not shift, as it were, today for the registration exercise. But INEC cannot continue to shift and shift ad infinitum.
Right.
If there is a timetable, you have to comply with that timetable. After all, in Ogun State, holiday work-free day were given twice.
Yes,
In Lagos,
Tuesday
it was
and
4
Friday.
days. It was 4 days for Lagos. That is for those who have not been able to, exercise that opportunity. But how far they were able to tap into that, or how far INEC was able to deliver, given the time frame available, is a different issue entirely. But I want to believe that it should not be an open-ended window that you can just do it, leave
right
it
until
open.
the day of.
It's not an
But there were
ideal situation.
allegations of voter suppression in some areas and the difficulty in voting in the last 1 or 2 months, where in some areas, the process was taking so long, there were not enough machines, there were endless queues.
Those are peculiar situations. Even in electioneering, if there are challenges, they do a rerun.
Right.
So it's not something unusual. INEC could evolve a situation, a system where such places will be taken care of within the time frame.
And should we not be asking the question of those who had decided to wait to the last minute? Why did they decide to wait that long?
That is a peculiarity with us. That is, except if we discover that this thing has been tied to something, and if you don't have it, it's going to have a kind of backfire effect on you. That's when Nigerians are mostly... Look at the NIN, for instance. It's the same thing. The same problem. You see, we have to wake up to our own civic responsibilities as citizens and do what we have to do on time. I had my registration in a particular place before. We've moved it when the polling something was brought nearer to my location. We moved. I asked my family. We all went. We've done it. I will be getting with the cards by maybe December, according to their promise, between October, November, December. Why is it that we don't want to do it that way? Every one of us. So we've got to be responsible as well as citizens. Where you have challenges, you can still go to INEC office and explain yourself. Maybe they will, accord you that opportunity.
Okay.
All right. Let's touch on this story real quick. It's kind of, well, I wouldn't say redundant because this is something we touched on in our issue of the day, but there's a particular question I want to ask from the story. But in the meantime, you can send in your comments on social media, WhatsApp 081-7555-1067. You can also message us on Facebook, Splash FM 106.7, in our Facebook live stream. Comment there. Twitter at Splash FM 1067, hashtag Panorama on Splash. Now, this story says about 140 travelers from Zamfara State heading to Ogiri in Ogun State were loaded in a truck and intercepted at Bodija area of Ibadan by men of the Amotekun Corps on Tuesday. Some residents around Bodija market area had notified Amotekun personnel of their suspicion on sighting the truck loaded with bags of onions, beans, potatoes, motorcycles with travelers of northern extraction, comprising men, women, youths, and children stuffed in between. Beg your pardon, the truck was then moved to Amotekun office where the travelers were interrogated and the items were searched. When asked why the driver was conveying such a huge number, they said many of them did not have transport fare. No incriminating item was found on the travelers and in the truck, and then the security agency subsequently resolved to escort the travelers to the Ogun State boundary for them to continue their journey. Meanwhile, Special Assistant to Governor Sheyi Makinde condemned the truck driver for conveying such a huge number of people at a time the nation is facing security challenges, asking him to be wary of conveying that number from the north at this period in time. Now, one question I had asked Abayomi during our issue of the day was how to keep this from degenerating into tribal hatred. I mean, these warnings that...
profiling.
Yes, there will be Boko Haram attacks, ISWAP attacks here in the southwest. This warnings that the security situation in the north will spread here to the southwest, and how to keep people from ethnic profiling. I've heard several people say that there's an influx of northerners from the north, which would kind of make sense given that northerners are being displaced. There are some northerners that are being displaced by the situation there and then moving over here. Not to mention, this is a democratic country. We believe in the oneness of Nigeria. Every Nigerian is constitutionally allowed to move, to live, to reside, to work anywhere. So how do we manage this balance without this turning into some sort of anti-migrant sentiments that one of our followers on Twitter also likened it to in Europe?
It's a really delicate line to balance on, definitely, because you've got to avoid ethnic profiling. You have to be sure that you are doing the right thing. But as it were, only Amotekun, operated on this thing. There was no interagency connectivity involved. It's not as if Amotekun saw this and, synergized with the police and the police authority or maybe the DSS and all others made some moves.
You mean in this story?
Yeah.
Actually, they were. Men of the DSS and the police were on hand to search and interrogate the travelers.
And at the end of the day, they pushed them to Ogun State. The first thing that came to my mind, there are two things. In the first instance, although they have told them that vehicle, why would he have to move such a large number of people? They said he had no transport fares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's understandable. But that vehicle was meant and is meant for goods and services, not for commuting people. So in the first instance, he has gone beyond his bounds. Number two, I would have asked, why would they have to push them to Ogun State? Why not ask them to go back to where they're coming from, regularize their movement one way or the other, and the vehicle can come in? You understand me now? Because you have pushed your problem. That's the problem. That's why I'm asking. Why will Ogun State also accept them when they have been pushed?
That's their destination.
That's their destination.
Yes.
But I will expect that they should commute in public transport, not goods vehicle. That's my grouse with the whole situation. Perhaps they should have been asked, go and find a way of going through normal vehicle for passengers. We will not allow you to move on in this instance. Your vehicle can still move on with your goods, but let them disembark and move on. So it's left for the operatives to know how to handle it. It might look somehow unusual, my way of looking at it, but we should discourage this idea of moving vehicles with animals, vehicle coming with animals, with food stalls, and a lot of passengers. That is not ideal. That's just the way I look at it.
All right, 10 more minutes and we'll be out of here. So it's just about time to let you in on the conversation so far. You've heard all of the stories that Olanimash has touched on, or perhaps that were just breezed over or breezed through in some way that he didn't speak about. So you can be a part of the conversation now. Here are the numbers: 0704 400 1067. Hi, good morning. Thanks for calling us.
Yeah, Nicholas.
Nicholas, please go on.
Yeah, chapter 2, section 15, subsection 4. Says that the state shall promote a feeling of belonging among all tribes to the extent that national interest shall override. So it is the APC that is behaving like an arm of an Islamic Emirate, not CAN. CAN is trying to make the APC understand the first subsection of that beautiful chapter: unity, faith, peace, and progress. Secondly, the Kogi, no man has wiped prostitution, splashing millions and showing the world by the first lady of Kogi State cannot help to end it. She should liaise with the Commissioner of Women Affairs to engage the young ladies who choose to be engaged. Thirdly, everywhere in the world where ex-presidents of democracy complete their term, they don't suffer. Obasanjo is not the poorest fish farmer in the Republic. 4, Ola, thank you very much for your academic honesty. And if you watch, in my last line, I said I may be wrong. Then, we know those who enter trucks with animals. It's left for the state governments to either secure their Amotekun, or we pray for the dangers that await us. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, for talking to us. We'll take more calls now. You could also keep comments coming through via different platforms. WhatsApp is 0817-555-1067.
Speaking of WhatsApp, this comment is from Jesu Tishefumi, but we'll get to her comment or his comment after this call.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, Benga.
Yes, good morning to you.
Hello, Lola, good morning.
Good morning,
Yeah,
Prince Tayo and Engineer Tayo.
Engineer Adeliro, could you please move closer? You sound pretty far away.
am I audible?
Yes, it's better. Go on.
Yeah, it is good news now this morning that the height of the coin is now affecting the high profile people in this country. But I want to come and say that the high price is affecting everybody. So it should do something.
Engineer Tayo, please call us back. Call us back. We can barely, discern what you're saying.
Yeah, you sound pretty far away.
Yes,
for what it's
either
worth.
if you're on speaker, change that, or if you're
If
using
an
headphones,
earpiece or whatever,
exactly.
Yeah, you might have to take it off. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning once again, Splash.
Babari, thanks for calling us.
Yes, this is Babari, and I want to, put my mouth on that first issue that you discussed on this morning about power, electricity. Anyway, I've always been advocating this thing that the federal government cannot singularly, handle this issue. If they say they want to handle it, it will go beyond the redemption. It has even gone beyond redemption. There's only solution that allow states to also see what they can do about the generation of this electricity. And I was really happy when I had the Senate, I think they passed the bill to Mr. President. So how long will Mr. President now put pen to paper on that bill? Knowing fully that there is a problem the Nigerians are suffering, going through. So I think Mr. President should have, if there is no other agenda that the federal government is, handling this power issue, the man should have signed this in immediately so that the state now will know how to invite experts to now see into power generation. So that's the way I see this thing. I don't know why the delay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Babari, for your contribution. Jesu Tishefumi says...
I think it's Jesu Tishefumi.
Oh, right. Jesu Tishefumi from Abeokuta says, I so much love Mr. Alani Marshall's submission. Nigeria is now getting more frustrating every blessed day. Tell me what you have benefited or are benefiting as a citizen of this country. All our sectors have been comatose. Education, power, security, petrol, etc. I wonder where this country is heading to. Question to our guest. What do you think is the way out of all this hardship in this country? That's like a one-size-fits-all question. But let's go back to the lines.
Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Binga.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, this is Wale from Abatoko.
Wale, thanks for calling us. Go on, please.
Yeah, I want to talk about Mr. former President Obasanjo.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I want to go by Yoruba that says, if he has done well in his tenure, but he has to go look at how he did when he was in power with $60 billion on power. If he has done well then, maybe by now we should have gone further. But him complaining about things going up, if he has given doing well when he was in power, since I have gone to this line now. Thank you.
You're right. Wale, thank you very much for spinning us down memory lane.
That's an interesting point.
Right. That's a solid point. Very solid
Because
one.
initially when he started, I was like, what does the price of diesel have to do with the Obasanjo administration? But then he linked it to power. And the truth is, if the electricity was stable, people would not rely on diesel and petrol as much.
Right.
All right. More comments on WhatsApp. Oh, this commenter did not send his... Okay, you have now. This is from Honorable Dakpo Adeyemi, who says, I agree with... Okay. You actually have a lot to say, but let me start from the first one. You asked, does anybody still need to believe this government? It is obvious that they have become a government of propaganda and there's hardly anything we can do. Let's wait for 2023 and pray we make the right choice next year. I agree with Olani Marshall on our people's attitude to the PVC issue, but should INEC not consider the time frame provided by the Electoral Act 2022, which is 90 days to the date of election? Let them give the final extension of maybe 1 month. Okay, you also repeated the earlier comment, but thank you very much. Let's take this call.
Good morning. Yes, good morning. You're connected. What's your name?
How are you guys doing over there?
We're fine. David.
I just want to appreciate Ola and to be sincere. I just appreciate the last caller too. But Baba should not forget that when Baba was still in power, almost $60 billion was used for electricity, to a kind of link electricity. But at least, where is that $50 billion today? And where is power today? In fact, Baba should not talk because Baba contributed our problem. He contributed to our problem. If he built refinery, because when he was in power, Nigeria has a fund. Well, look at Baba failed to build refinery, and look at what we are facing today. So Baba should not talk. They are part of our problem. We just pray that God will fight our battle. Let all these old politicians, maybe God should take them.
Okay, thank you very much, David, for your thoughts. We appreciate you. Maybe final call before we have to wrap it all up. Hi, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Nicholas, I want to appreciate David for giving us the exact figure of $16 billion and the other caller that linked to how power can be linked to fish farming. Have a nice day.
Thank you
very much, Nicholas. We do have to go in. Well, we still have a minute, actually. We can sneak in one more call.
Do we still have comments on WhatsApp yet? Okay, so maybe one or two more calls and we'll have to wrap it all up. Hi, Babari, thanks for calling again.
I'm going to beg again. People should stop castigating Baba. How many years Baba, step outside the state? What of all those governments that have come on board? What have they done? If Baba did wrong, why didn't they, correct the wrong that Baba has done? Why? They should leave Baba alone. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you for keeping it short, Babari. But the reason people are castigating former president is because he's the one who complained about diesel. So people feel it's kind of hypocritical for him to complain about it when he had a hand in the situation. All right, we can take one more call if you make it quick. 0817-444-1067. That's from a new caller. So nobody calling to clarify what they said before. 0704-400-1067.
This looks like a new call. Good morning. What's your name? Oh, okay. I think it's just the sign that we have to leave now. Olani Mashan, we appreciate you a great deal for coming.
It's nice being here with you guys. One thing I observe is that there are people who are making life difficult for Nigerians. And they are there up there. And they think only of their own pecuniary gains. We have to continue doing the needful. Vote the right people into places and make sure we don't leave them in power. You continue to pursue them to do the needful for you, be it at the federal, at the state, and local government. I have chosen the state, and I will go to any extent.
Including
to make sure,
your House of Representatives and members and senators.
I want to make
that.
sure my state delivers accordingly.
Absolutely.
That is my own target and program.
And to everyone who has registered for their PVC, do not forget, if you're a new registrant, to collect your card when it's ready. Please make sure that you follow this to the end. Go the whole 9 yards. Don't just register and then leave it at that. And then use it on the day of election and make informed choices, please. Thank you, Olani Marshall, for your time.
Nice being with you guys. It's been very wonderful.
Benga and Odera will continue tomorrow with Panorama from 8 a.m., so be sure to join them then. My name is Lola Neduteni.
And I am Benga Faye. Have a fantastic day.